Wow, I read a lot of books. Hello everyone, I'm Fallon and this is my March reading wrap up, and I read a surprisingly large volume of books in March and I am shocked by how many I read. I did not realize how many I read. It's to the point where I don't remember what I read this month and what I read last month. What I read this month. I really need to keep a book log and use Goodreads more religiously. First book, and the only book I'm pretty sure I didn't read this month, or maybe I did. I don't even remember. Sorry. So the first book is The Shadow Prince by Brie Despain. This was a retelling of Hades, essentially Hades and Persephone's story, except without Hades and Persephone in it. It was entirely different people. So it was really interesting read. I have a book talk that I've recorded and just haven't published because, in case you didn't realize, I'm slightly lazy. But overall I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. It was a good read and I am hoping to buy the next book in the series as soon as I can find it. This book I read was Grave Mercy, and I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed the book, but I feel like they didn't get into enough detail and I feel like it just wasn't big enough for the story they were telling. So the sequels of the book didn't have the same narrator, so I just couldn't really see this really going someplace. It was a good book as a standalone, but I just feel like it shouldn't have been a standalone. Yeah. It was okay. Magnus Chasing the Gods of Asgard, and I have a book talk about this, which I've tried to publish twice, but YouTube is not working for me very well. So this book, a 5 out of 5 stars though. I thoroughly enjoyed this read. I was so happy to read a Rick Riordan book again, and this was definitely the one to pick up to read. I'm so excited for his next series and for the continuation of this series. It was a really good book. I then read The Beginning of Everything by Robin Schneider, which was on my TBR for this month, and I think this is one of the only ones that I got to on my TBR. Wow. I do not like contemporaries, but this was a really good read and I feel like it changed my life. I can't remember if I gave it 4 or 5 stars, but I'd probably give it a 4.5 at this point. It changed how I thought about the world, and it was an amazing contemporary read. It's from 2014, so if you're looking for an older book that's paperback and it's really pretty, it was a really enjoyable read, and I have a book talk coming up about this, hopefully in the near future. And read my first ever ARC, which was Movers by Megan McIsaac. And for this book I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars just because it wasn't exactly what I expected to read. It was middle grade fantasy, dystopian sci-fi hodgepodge, and I did really enjoy it. I thought it was a good book. I read it really fast, but I just feel like it was kind of lacking in some aspects, and I'm hoping that the next book in the series will really carry this series forward because it has a lot of really good ideas. My main problem with this book was just that the villain was underdeveloped, and I need a good villain to carry a fantasy series. This month I picked up Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare, and it was a really awesome read. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I read it really quickly. I felt like it was a disappointing read compared to The Infernal Devices, but I feel like a lot of books don't compare to The Infernal Devices at this point. It was really fat and the characters were really good. I just felt like I could predict a lot of the things that happened in this book and the way that it was going, and I don't really like predicting where books are going. If I can predict something in it, it's not the book for me. So I just feel like it was a little bit too predictable for me, but that could just be because I know Cassandra Clare's writing style really well. I know this universe really well. So it's a good book. Definitely pick it up if you haven't read it yet. I then read The Dark Days Club by Alison Goodman, and this book was absolutely amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I haven't read historical fiction, fantasy to this extent in a very long time. It was absolutely amazing, and Alison Goodman's attention to detail when she talks about history is superb. It's beyond belief. And I am so excited for the next book in the series, and this one only just came out in January, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do. My only problem with this book is that the cover is blue and the dust jacket is black. It's my only complaint. So it was a really good book. Then finally finished The Serial Killer Whisperer by Pete Earley, which is a biography about a boy who goes through brain trauma. And I really want to talk about this book in a book talk, so hopefully I'll be doing that soon. Just because this book was life-changing for me to read. I thought that it would be disgusting and disturbing, and at points it definitely was. I had to put it down just because it's serial killers talking about killing people and stuff like that. But some of it was so positive and so uplifting that I just feel like a lot of people should read this. If you get nauseous from gore, probably not the book for you, but if you're okay with reading stuff like that, it's definitely worth picking up. I was amazed by how good this book was. And honestly, it's a 4 to 5 star. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it yet. I haven't put it down in Goodreads yet, but it's a 4.5 or a 5-star book. It was so good. It was so uplifting. It took me a while to get through it just because it's a biography, but there was definitely pages that I really liked. I then read The School for Good and Evil by Somain Chanini, which so many people have been talking about, and it was definitely worth the hype. It was a really good book. I gave it a 4 to 5 stars in Goodreads, and it was really enjoyable middle grade fantasy. I haven't picked up the next book yet, but I'm looking to do that soon. It's in my TBR pile over there. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be picking this book up and reading it sometime soon. The next book, I mean. And then the third book, because it's out. I finally got around to reading The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson, and this book was amazing. This is the best book I have read in the past probably 2 or 3 years. I am so happy that I picked this book up, and I need to read the second book. I was actually in like a bit of a reading slump after reading this book. I just didn't know what else to read because no fantasy book can live like to this standard at this point. It was a 5 out of 5. If I gave it beyond 5 stars, this book would get beyond 5 stars. It was so amazing, and I got it for like $7 new. I am so happy about this. Also, it's a beautiful cover. So pretty. I picked up and finished this book in one day. It got me on my reading slump of Queen of the Tearling, and this was First Life by Jenna Showalter, or Gina Showalter, I'm not sure how she pronounces it, and this book was really good too. I had a lot of really good books this month. I just really enjoyed this novel. Like, there were a lot of things in this book that were really relatable to a lot of people, and it's definitely not just for girls, this book. I thought that it might be because it's a romance, but it's just so interesting. It talks about like life after we die, essentially, and it's good. It's really deep, really fast, and it's definitely worth picking up. I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, just because nothing can compare to Queen of the Tearling at this point, but it was still a really good book, and I'm really happy that I was able to pick it up and read it. And again, a book talk will be coming up about this whenever I post it. I'm lazy. And read 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray, and this book was really good. It was a sci-fi book, and I didn't expect it to be a sci-fi book. I knew it was multi-dimension, but I'm so happy I read this because it's making me think about the world and other worlds and other stuff like that, and I've been watching The Flash lately, and it fits really well with that mentality, so I'm really happy that I picked this book up, and I cannot wait to read the next book. My bookstore doesn't have the next book though, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But this book is just, it's stunning visually, it's stunning as it's written. I honestly gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was so good. This was an amazing book to read. Definitely pick this book up. I don't think it's near enough hype, and it is worth every single penny. Again, a book talk will be coming up about this soon. I'm pretty sure having book talks going up about all of these in the future sometime, hopefully. And the very last book that I read this month, that I technically finished yesterday morning, so April 1st, but I'm gonna say that I read it in March because I've done it already, was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, and this is the first book I read by Rainbow Rowell. I actually picked it up because it was on sale, and it was the collector's edition, and I didn't realize the collector's edition has fan art on the inside, and this amazing purple color with the blue writing on the outside. I am in love with this book. With the dust jacket on, with the dust jacket off, like, can we just appreciate this artwork? Look at how pretty that is. And then the back. Oh, I am so excited to read Carry On at this point, because this book was awesome, and if Carry On is half as good as this, I'm ready. The parallels between Harry Potter and this book were gut-wrenching, and I felt like crying at times because I was like, oh my god, Harry Potter! I didn't think this was what she wanted us to do, so I'm really pleased that I read this book. I'm so happy people kept insisting that I read Rainbow Rowell, because I need to read the rest of her books at this point. It was amazing. This book, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, and this is a contemporary read, and I'm not really a contemporary person, but this was really well written, and it inspired me to write more than I currently do. It was really inspiring towards writing, and so if you're in a writing slump or anything like that, definitely pick up this book. It made me want to write more than I've ever written in a book in my life before, and legit, I finished this book yesterday morning. I wrote last night until midnight, and I wrote like 2,000 words. It was crazy. This book was so good. I am so happy I read this. I'll probably be rereading it in the near future. But these are all the books that I read in the month of March, and I read a lot. April, I'm probably not going to read as much because I have exams coming up, so I have mock exams like every single day, and then in May I have my actual exam, so I don't know how much reading I'm going to get done, but I'm hoping to finish books that I started in March and didn't finish because I just wasn't feeling them at the moment. I want to read Darker Shade of Magic and A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab, and just whatever I really get to. I don't really know where all it's going to happen, but hey, books are books, and I am happy. So let me know if you read any of these books and what you thought of any of them in the doobly-doo or the comment section, whatever it is, I don't know. If you want to look me up on Goodreads, Bookstagram, Library Thing, those are all in the doobly-doo. I'm not going to put links to these books because I'm super lazy. You can get them at all major retailers, Book Outlet, Barnes & Nobles, Kohl's. You have an internet, I'm sure you can find them if you want to. I'll be having book reviews about these soonish, hopefully, or they're already up. I don't know. So yeah, this is what I read. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, you can give it a thumbs up, and I will see you all next week. I'm Fallon, I make videos every weekend, and thank you guys for hanging out with me. Bye!